The sun had barely lifted itself over the hills when the shouting began. It echoed across the dry plains like a wound opening in the morning. Harsh voices, laughter edged with cruelty, and the sharp crack of rope pulled tight. Elias Mercer paused mid-step, a bucket of water hanging from his calloused hand. The sound did not belong to the land. He had lived on this stretch of New Mexico territory for nearly 20 years, and the land spoke to him clearly. Wind, cattle, birds, storms. This sound was something else. Human. Angry. Elias set the bucket down slowly and listened again. A girl cried out. Not loudly. Not dramatically. It was the kind of sound someone makes when they are trying not to cry, when pride is the only thing left to hold on to. Elias wiped his hands on his trousers and mounted his horse without saddle or rifle. He did not ride fast. He never did. Speed often made things worse. The noise led him to the edge of Cottonwood Grove, a thin cluster of trees near the old trading path. What he saw there made his chest tighten. 2 children, twins, no more than 10 years old, were tied to a tree. Their wrists were bound high above their heads with rough rope, cutting into their skin. Their feet barely touched the ground. Dust streaked their faces, and their dark hair hung loose and tangled. One was a boy, the other a girl. Apache. 3 men stood nearby, rifles slung over their shoulders, laughing as if they had just finished a good meal. "Caught 'em stealing bread," one of them said loudly. "Thought we'd teach 'em a lesson." Elias dismounted. "Morning," he said quietly. The men turned, surprised. "Well, look who it is," the tallest one sneered. "Mercer. Didn't think you'd be out this early." Elias said nothing. His eyes moved to the children. The girl stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. The boy's lip trembled, but he refused to look down. "They're just kids," Elias said. "They thieves," another man replied. "Apache brats. You know what they grow up into." Elias did know. He also knew what white men grew up into when cruelty was treated like justice. "Cut them loose," he said. The men laughed again. "You gonna tell us how to handle our land now?" Elias met their eyes one by one. His gaze was steady, unblinking. "This land doesn't belong to you," he said. "Or me." There was a pause. Wind moved through the cottonwoods. Finally, the tallest man spat into the dirt. "We made our point. Leave 'em tied. Son'll teach 'em." The men mounted their horses and rode off, still laughing. Elias waited until the sound faded. Then he walked to the tree. The children flinched as he approached. "It's all right," he said gently. "I won't hurt you." The girl studied him with suspicion older than her years. "You are white." "I am," Elias replied. "But I am not them." He took out his knife and cut the ropes. The twins collapsed to the ground, limbs shaking. Elias crouched, lowering himself to their level. "Can you stand?" he asked. The boy nodded weakly. The girl helped him up. "Why did you steal?" Elias asked. The boy swallowed. "Our grandmother is sick." The girl added, "We hadn't eaten in 2 days." Elias closed his eyes briefly. "Come with me," he said. "You'll eat." They hesitated. "You can leave anytime," he added. "I won't keep you." The girl exchanged a look with her brother. Then she nodded once. "My name is Atza," she said. "This is Keem." "I'm Elias." The ranch was quiet. That was the first thing the twins noticed. No shouting. No guns on the table. Just wind through grass and the low sound of cattle moving slowly. Elias gave them bread, beans, and water. They ate carefully at first, as if afraid the food might be taken away. When Elias turned his back, Atza hid a piece of bread inside her sleeve. Elias pretended not to notice. "You can sleep in the barn," he said. "It's warm enough." That night, Elias lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He had not planned this. He had no children of his own. His wife had died 10 years earlier, taken by fever before spring arrived. Since then, silence had become his companion. Now, there were 2 new heartbeats on his land. By morning, trouble came with the dust. A posse rode up just after sunrise. "You seen 2 Apache kids?" the leader asked. Elias stepped onto his porch. "I've seen children. Period. They stole bread. They were starving. That ain't your concern." Elias folded his arms. They're on my land now. The men shifted uneasily. Elias Mercer had a reputation, not for violence, but for stubbornness. He had stood his ground before and never raised his voice. Finally, the leader scoffed. You're making a mistake. Wouldn't be the first time, Elias replied. The men left. That night, Atsa whispered, They will come back. Elias nodded. Maybe. You are not afraid. I am, he said honestly. But fear doesn't decide what's right. Days turned into weeks. The twins stayed. Elias taught them how to tend cattle, how to mend fences. They taught him Apache words for stars, for rain, for grief. Keem laughed more each day. Atsa remained watchful, protective. One evening, Elias found Atsa standing at the edge of the field, staring toward the hills. You miss home, he said. She nodded. But there is nothing left. He stood beside her. You can stay as long as you need. She looked at him then, eyes shining. Why? Elias thought of the tree, the rope, the quiet cry. Because someone once should have done the same for me, he said. Winter came early that year. When sickness spread through nearby settlements, Elias's ranch became a place of shelter. Word traveled quietly. Mercer helped anyone, no questions asked. Apache families, settlers, travelers. Elias did not care about names or sides. One night, Atsa asked, What are we to you? Elias looked at the fire. You're family, if you want to be. Keem smiled. Atsa nodded slowly. Spring returned. So did the men. This time with rifles raised. Elias stepped forward, standing between them and the children. You want them, he said. You'll have to go through me. Silence fell. The leader lowered his rifle first. They're just kids, he muttered. Elias did not smile. The men turned back. That day, Elias realized something had changed, not just for the twins, but for the land itself. Compassion had taken root. Years later, travelers would speak of a quiet ranch where Apache twins grew into healers and protectors, and of a man who taught them not hatred, but choice. It all began with bread and a rope cut loose.